You're not just going to sit there. He's just going to bless you just because you're sitting there. Now, bear in mind, I'm not trying to say God won't, because sometimes he will. I mean, the word also says that he will reign on the just and the unjust. God is God. We are not. And with that thought in mind, yes, he will do things that way. But if you really want to see the fullness of the promises, you have to participate. You have to participate. The verses say this, and if you don't do this, it doesn't matter anything else that has been shared today. In verse 12, then you will call upon me and come and pray to me, and I will listen to you. And you will seek me and find me. Didn't say you'll find me without you seeking, which means you have to participate. When you search for me with all your heart, and that's a hard one for folks, all your heart, because we just don't want to give up all the heart to anybody. I mean, even to God. We've had different things occur to us in our life, such as people have hurt us in this way, that way, or another. And so as we grow and accumulate more gray hair, then we have become better equipped on how to protect our hearts. And that's not a bad thing. Unless when you put that wall up to stop me from getting to you, you don't remember to take it down so you don't keep God out also. Because both will happen. Oh, I'm good, okay? You're not getting in here. This is mine. And the last time somebody did or said what you said, this is what happened to me. So, dear sister, I'm not going to let you do it. The moment I did that, I blocked God out as well. So be careful. Be careful. So we have to search for him with all our hearts. And I will be found by you, declares the Lord, and I will restore your fortunes and will gather you from all the nations and from all the places where I have driven you, declares the Lord. And I will bring you back to the place from where I sent you into exile. Now, that's another hard one for you, and I'm not going to go into too much detail, but sometimes God will send us into exile. Circumstances will occur sometimes, and we think that we're being sent to a bad place, and he's actually protecting us. Ooh, there you go. Sometimes you think that the desert's a bad place, but the desert is a place that oftentimes gets your attention. Why? Because you're thirsty and you need a drink from him. There's no natural water around. You need him to refresh you. You need him to revitalize you. And so that place of exile is not always a bad place. It's a place where we will get back to this place in our hearts where we will depend more on him. Because what causes so much grief, it causes us to always listen to other man's plans, is because we're depending on us. Or we're depending on what that man or that woman said, and not depending on what God said. Another man's plans, it's not good for you. It's not good for you. It's just not good for you. It isn't. Well, I had a whole lot more, but I'm going to cut it right there because I believe that the point in the Spirit has been made today. That you've gotten it, that you understand that another man's plans is not always for you, and that we need to have our hearts centered on the things of the Lord, and that we know that he has a plan for us, and his plan for us is to prosper us and to give us hope and to take us to a whole other place that only he can take us to. Now, I'm the biggest networker outside of my wife that I know, so I'm always networking. And what's the point of networking? So I can know other people. What's the point of knowing other people? So that I can have other contacts. What's the point of having other contacts? Well, it's all said and done, so there's ultimately more business or whatever. The only one you really need to know is Jesus Christ. Because in the midst of all of what I do, that I don't forget. In the midst of every morning before I leave home to do whatever is on the agenda for that day, I make sure that God is in front. Because I want to hear what he has to say. I had a lady Friday that I was doing some business with, and as I was there with her, she had some other things that she had in mind. And matter of fact, before I came to do some work with her company, she said to me, "My people are all tightwads. They don't want to hear what you have to say. But I'm going to let you come in anyway so that you'll find out what I said is true." So what I did was waited until I was out of her sight, and I chuckled. I says, "Okay, God, here we go." I never had a debating word with her. I went in when it was scheduled to go in. I shared the information. And then, all of a sudden, all of these tightwads wanted to spend money. Well, Friday afternoon, I went back to take care of those people. And many of them I was taking care of at no gain financially for me. Now, why do I tell you that? I tell you that because it's not about me. You sang a song, and I was, my wife was kind of chuckling when you were singing it about you can't beat God giving. At every one of our offerings, when I speak, I always tell people there's a song I grew up with that said, "You can't beat God giving, no matter how hard you try." And I said, so our church, we know who wins, but we try to beat him. I leave that for you. You know already you can't beat God giving. Try anyway. What are you going to lose? Something that wasn't yours to begin with. Anyway, with that lady, I told her, when it was all said and done, I sat down and she was talking about, you know, you just made me out a liar. I said, well, I didn't make you out a liar. God just told me the truth. So I took it off of her and took it off of me and let her know what I heard. Well, when it's all said and done, she says, you know, I was even thinking about participating in this plan. She said, so when you come back, I don't want to keep you here all day. I says, it's now 1:30 in the afternoon. I was here at 7 a.m. What's all day? So she enrolled also. And I only share that with you from this perspective. I listened to what God said. I didn't listen to what she said. Because if I listened to what she said, I would not have this testimony for you today. It wasn't about the money. It was about what God said. And so I didn't listen to her. And then it ended up being a witnessing tool for me to witness to her. Because I don't care where I go, Jesus is with me. In case others where I go don't know that, I inform them that Jesus is here. And so the testimony is also real key, but it goes back to the place of not listening to another man's plans. Because I'm just like you. I've had many people that said, oh, you can't do this or you can't do that. Or look at what you did over there 15, 20, 30 years ago. And because you did that 15, 20, 30 years ago, that you can't do what you're doing today. But my God, I'm not talking about yours, I'm talking about my God said yes. And when my God said yes, I agreed with him and said amen. And I just did what he said. I just did what he said. So I'm here to tell you today in closing that whatever God has been speaking to you, you need to say yes, Lord, and amen. If it doesn't make sense to you in the natural, it ain't in the natural. So you need to get your mind out of that one to begin with. You know, I always tell people that, would you like to have some super with your natural? Or would you like to have some extra with your ordinary? And I say, yes, I would. How about you? I borrowed that, you know. But I've been using it ever since. But the point of my story is really this, that we need to hold on and we need to not listen to what God is saying. Excuse me, that was way wrong. We need to not listen to what man is saying and always listen to what God is saying. Always, always, always. Because his plans, once again, are to prosper us and to give us a hope. And it doesn't matter what it looks like, you know, because I know your pastor was concerned about how many people were or were not going to be here today. And I didn't care. It didn't matter, because I knew the message that God had was for whoever was here. You know, and I'm gonna leave you with this. My wife and I, a long time ago, as God had launched our ministry, there were some days early on that we would do what's called the Bridging the Gap Salute. Our ministry being Bridging the Gap Ministry. The Bridging the Gap Salute was always this. We would get close to a window somewhere and do this. Is anybody coming? And we learned that it didn't matter, that we knew that we were doing what God said to do. And a lot of times, like here, service starts at 10, all of a sudden there's a rush of people that came in at 10:15 or 10:30, you know, way after the salute had ended. And so with that in mind, those that are here today are the ones that are supposed to be here today. Those are the ones that are here today. The ones that are here are the ones who got blessed by what God spoke to them today. Now, it is incumbent upon you to go tell somebody. You got to go tell somebody. Or what's the point? What's the point? You got your ears tickled. You know, hair raised on your arm a little bit. You know, you got a little shake, a little quake. Doesn't matter if you don't share it with somebody. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Remember kingdom thinking. And don't fall prey to another man's plans.